Hello YouTube, Captain Mac here, and welcome back to the life of a virtual airline pilot, the series that started it all. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Today we are going to be leaving Reno and flying to KTWF, which is Joslyn Magic Valley Regional Airport in Idaho. As you can see, we're switching to Delta Airlines. We're going to continue with Delta for a little while on this series, and then we'll see if we make another switch later on. There were a couple reasons for that switch. Number one, I was just kind of getting tired of looking at the Alaska Airlines paint scheme. It's unfortunate that nobody's put the new one out there. And then number two, Delta's the airline that flies into this particular airfield in the real world, even though they don't fly 737s in there. So either way, you put those things together, you get Delta Airlines, and it's always a nice looking livery. Anyway, so let's take a quick look at the plan of the day. Sim Toolkit Pro, check it out. Reno Tahoe out to Joslyn Magic Valley Regional. Now, do me a favor, guys. Go to their website. Just type in either type in the name of the airport or KTWF on Google. Go to the website for the airport, and you tell me if the photo from that airport looks like it was taken in a flight simulator. You tell me. I'd like to see how many of you think it was and how many of you think it wasn't, because I'm telling you right now, I think that photo's from a flight simulator. It does not look real. And as realistic as flight simulator looks these days, okay, anyway, enough sidebar. We're looking at 321 nautical miles through the air today. Very short flight for us. Trip fuel is only 5,729 pounds. Final reserves of 2492. Block fuel is 13,935. Keep in mind, we will have more than 2492 in there. This is assuming we don't have to go to our alternate. We don't have 15 minutes of contingency, all of that stuff. Moving on down here, quick look at the route. We'll go over that more in depth, but not really. I mean, there it is. It's pretty straightforward. You'll get a peek at it here when we put it in the FMC. And looking at our payload, 184 packs on board. We are in an 800 vice a 700, 737-800. Still just 200 pounds of cargo. Anytime you put it on auto, that's what it puts in there. Payload's 42,500 pounds. Zero fuel weight, 134,400 pounds. It's only about a little less than, it's 3,900 pounds less than our max zero fuel weight, which puts our takeoff weight not very far under our max takeoff weight either, which is interesting. And then landing weight 142.1 vice 146.3 is the max. All right, so there you have it. And then looking at our charts and maps again, it's a very short flight here today. Only a couple of waypoints in there, and we're going up to flight level 350, so that should be, that's 3-4, that's close enough. Looks like it's going to be tailwinds the whole way. So we'll keep that, and again, not making much of a difference on this one. It's a really, really short flight, right? So there you have it, guys. That's the plan of the day there. So what do you say we climb up in the office and start putting all this into action? Alright, we got the packs loading already. Flight planning and dispatch has been taken care of. Passengers and cargo weights are set. Fuel is calculated, ordered, and loaded. We've taken a look at our weather briefing very briefly. Charts are not ready for use. I'll get those ready before we need them. But yeah, I keep forgetting to do those first. I like trying to get in this perfect flow, and it's just not working right now. Anyway, all of that takes us up to our cockpit acceptance checklist. First things first, park and brake needs to be set, and I believe it is off. So there we go, set the park and brake. Battery is going to be on already. We're running on ground power right now. Here's the battery right here. She's up and running. Electric hydraulic pumps are off. That's the two in the center there, which they are. Landing gear is down. Start levers are in the cutoff position. Ground power is on. Overhead fuel valve lights are illuminated. That's these here. We definitely don't have any fuel in the center tanks today. Emergency exits, the emergency exit lights for us are going to be armed here. Both signs can come on. Oh, I just had a hiccup there. Sorry. Recirc fan should be on auto. That is this guy right here. And no, it's not. It is these two up here. They're both on auto. Those were the packs that I was looking at. Recirc fans are on auto. Engine bleeds should be off. And passenger boarding has been commenced, and that takes care of our cockpit acceptance checklist. Alright, pressing on then, folks, let's take a look at our overhead setup. Starting with the yaw dampers, we need to turn those on, but as always, they're going to just turn right back off until we get hydraulics running. Fuel pumps on as required. We don't need any on right now. Cabin utility IFE passenger switches on. That's these two here. So in the 700, it's just the galley switch. And then in the 800, you can see there's cabin utility. I'll zoom a little closer for you because you probably can't actually read it. So there you go, cabin utility, IFE passengers, right? These both need to be on. And then in the 700 version of the aircraft, it just says galley. Then there's one switch there. So there you have. Okay, moving on. Let's see, equipment cooling normal, lights off, window heat. We need to test it first. Left click to test, looks good. Right click for the overheat test, looks good. And then turn the window heat on. Probe heat's going to stay off. Anti-ice will stay off for now. System A and B switches both on the hydraulics panel. These two lights should go out. There they go. And let's see, left and right packs both to auto. Left click each of those. Isolation valve should be open, which is all the way down, and it is. On the pressurization panel, so we're going to be flying at, let me double check, y'all, 350, and then we are landing. Our airfield is 4154. So 350 and 4154. Come on. Whoop, that's a little too high there. So 350 and 4154. So 4150 is going to be spot on for us. That's going to work out fantastic. And let's see, landing altitude is set. Exterior lighting as required, which is good right now. We're going to leave the ignition selector on left, and that takes care of our overhead panel setup. Alright, next on the agenda is setting up our FMC. There you go, coughing in your face. But first things first, we need to go all the way up here and get the IRS alignment taken care of. So right click twice on each of them. And once the align light shows up, you can left click, and then we'll jump down here. Go into FMC. And make sure your AirX cycle is up to date, which it is. Make sure you got the proper aircraft engine rating, all of that. Go to position initialization, put in the reference airport. For us, it's KRNO. 39, 29, 119.46. Go here, 39, 30, 119.46. I'd say we're pretty darn close there. Come back over here, put that in your position initialization, and that'll start aligning the IRS. Company route is going to be KRNO, which is already in there, of course. KRNO to KTWF. I always have the hardest time finding the letters. Flight number is 3114. DAL 3114.
Hello.
There we go. Activate and execute that. And pretty straightforward. It's a very short route. Let's look at departure and arrival real quick. Departure from Reno is going to be, let me just double check here, runway, that's the wrong one. There we go. We're going to go with 16 right. That's tons of runway too, so we can definitely do a reduced takeoff. And then it is the Mustang 8. Don't tell me it's not available. Are you kidding me? That's from runway 16 left and right. That makes perfect sense, doesn't it, guys? Makes perfect sense. So it's not giving us the option for the departure that we're supposed to be doing here, which is kind of stupid to me. So it's telling us we can take the Reno 9. That's not even for this runway. That doesn't even make sense. It's not even for this runway. Oh, you're killing me, guys. What's the Waggy 6? That's not. Well, Waggy 6 would work for this runway, I guess. I don't like that though. Let's try something different here. Erase that. Let's do it a different way. Does it even have it on there? Where is the Mustang? Mustang 8. You know, this stuff frustrates me sometimes, you guys. It doesn't have it doesn't even have the departure in it. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna take runway 16 right. We're not gonna use a departure because we weren't originally scheduled for one anyway. And that'll just be that. So that's obnoxious to me, but it is what it is. So if we take a look at our legs page here, it's out to Blackjack, LLC, then TWF, and it's going to be straight in from there. I mean, that's pretty much the entire route. So let's go to performance initialization now that we've been farting around trying to get the departure to line up properly. That didn't work out for us. Reserves, we said we're going to be 2.4. We'll make it an even 2.5. Cost index, they've got it as 13. They're out of their freaking mind. We're going to do 85. And then flight level is going to be 350. Put that in there. Execute. N1 limit. We're going to definitely do a D rate on this one. We're going to do a normal climb though. Takeoff page. Flaps are going to be 5. Center of gravity 25.5. That puts us at 141, 142. And 148. And that takes care of the FMC flight planning and initialization. Alright, let's take a quick look here at our taxi and departure. We're not really going to be flying the departure, but let's just go over it real quick anyway because it gives me something to do for a minute. ATIS is on 135.8, Reno clearance on 24.9, ground on 21.9, and tower on 18.7, and then NorCal departure is going to be this guy, 126.3. We are over here at the terminal. We're going to take taxiway Alpha straight back here to hold short of runway 16 right. As you can see, we got 11,000 feet of runway. We got plenty of runway to work with. Now, this was the departure we were supposed to be taking, and I may just program this in here because, like, it doesn't make sense not to do this. So that's what I'm going to do. We're going to do that here in just a second. We're going to program in Ridge 2, I guess is what that says, RIJTU. I don't know who comes up with these. And then we'll program in the FMG VOR. And then you've got a climb and hold here for direction of flight. And this just has to do with altitudes. This is whether or not you can get up high enough, I think, is the idea here. You can see for runway 16 right, multiple antennas, tree and light poles beginning 746 feet from the departure end of the runway, 380 feet left of center line, up to 95 feet HEL, 4,510 feet MSL. Terrain beginning 2,784 feet from departure end of the runway, 990 feet right of the center line. It's talking about this stuff right here. There's the terrain here. And so on. That's just what it's doing. It's advising you that we're gonna fly this anyway, and so we're gonna put this in right now. It's super easy to do that anyway because we've got a couple of waypoints on here. We'll just jump down here, grab this guy, go to FMC legs page. So Blackjack is not going to be our first waypoint. It's going to be Ridge 2, RIJTU, RIJTU. Yeah, we're going to put that in there first, and then from there to FMG. There we go. And then Blackjack. And that basically has us flying our departure. And so therefore that takes care of your taxi and departure briefings. Alright, it's time to get our main panel set up, taken care of here. But first, let's jump all the way up top, complete the alignment of the IRS. Just give them each a right click once. Come back down here and you see the IRS alignment is complete and we're good to go. We're going to need to get the flight directors on. Arm the auto throttle. It was 148, so 148 plus 5 is 153. I have to actually think about that. I don't do math in my head that well. 153, and then I didn't see a max altitude on that departure chart. Did you guys? I don't think so, because we got to get up quick anyway. So I'm going to assume that there isn't one, and we're going to go ahead and press straight on up to flight level 350. A little too far. And then runway heading was 164, so we'll put that in here. I kind of think the knobs are really ugly on the Honeywell version of the MCP, right? There we go, 164. LNAV, VNAV can be armed. Auto throttle's already armed. Okay, let's take a look at our checklist here. Flight path vectors as desired. Altimeters need to be set. I should check the local altimeter setting, right? And that is 3010. So 3010. There we go. It's pretty high pressure there. Oh, come on, just switch already. Jeez. Things are not working the way they're supposed to this morning. I forgot to test the lights. Didn't I write that in here somewhere? I could have sworn I wrote it in here somewhere. I did, and then I just overlooked the stupid thing. Lights test. Right click. Everything blinking, flashing, working. Yeah, we knew they were. It's a sim, right? We do have service-based failures turned on, so things can fail, but I don't think the lights are on the list. Anyway, mode selectors on map, center switch as desired, range selector as desired. Flight directors are on, auto throttles are on, MCP speed is set. We're tuned into runway heading, altitude is set for initial clearance, autopilots are off, no flags in the PFD, auto brake needs to go to RTO. We need to take care of the radios and TCAS back here. We'll just keep going with 2336. I am trying to get the POSCON thing working, but it's not right now. So get the TCAS test going. There it goes. And speed brakes down. Thrust levers are idle. Engine start levers are cut off. And stabilizer trim is set. Alright, we're just about ready for push and start here. The first thing we want to do is go ahead and get this APU up and running. And while that's starting up, we can take a look at the rest of our checklist items. And I'm going to go ahead and tell them we're ready for push and start just because they're slow. So prepare for pushback and departure. That'll start getting them in place. We can come down here. We're going to have to close up all these doors anyway. So we'll go to menu, FS actions, doors, close, close, next page, close, and close. Then go back to ground connections, and we'll be ready to take those off once the APU is up and running. Taking a look at the rest of our checklist here. We've got our clearance to push. The throttles are idle. The start levers are off. Packs need to go off really quick. You can right click both of the packs. You're going to need all your fuel pumps to come on. No centers on this one. We're not using the center fuel pumps. Bleed air pressure is good. Anti-collision light needs to come on. And then we're ready for pushback at this point. Well, just about. Let's go ahead and send the power out from the APU here. Turn the ground power off. Jump down here. See, they're still hooking up anyway. Disconnect these. Double check, make sure those brakes are on. They are. Disconnect the chocks, or remove the chocks. And that should be able to put us on the FMC page. There we go. We're on the legs page there. And we're going to use the autosave quick edit pushback. Look at that, timed out perfectly, didn't it?
Bypass pin inserted. Release parking brakes.
That actually timed out really well.
Commencing push.
Let me make sure that
Start at will.
ACARS is running over here. It is, just as it should be. Alright, so start with engine number 2. We're going to select this guy over to ground. And let's pull up our engines page down here. We're waiting for the N2 to get up to 25%. As soon as it does, we'll introduce fuel in. And that's it. It's very easy. Easiest engine start in the world, right? 23, 24, 25. You'll see the fuel flow start to come up. Exhaust gas temperature start to come up. And then the N1 will start to come up. Let's see. I wanted to see. Yeah, I don't get flight controls on here. Somebody told me, oh yeah, you just click on the system and you get flight controls. Am I clicking the wrong button, or what's going on here? Because this isn't working for me. Oh my goodness. Okay. Just wait for that engine to stabilize.
Waiting your confirmation for good engine start.
Should stabilize here shortly. You heard the start selector click off. Usually stabilizes somewhere around 20. Go ahead and start engine number 1. Same thing, waiting for 25 on the N2. Nothing else to do but wait. Still waiting. You guys ever get tired just waiting on things like engine starts? There's 25. And you'll see the fuel flow start coming up, exhaust gas temperature coming up, and N1 coming up. I'm going to go ahead and break away. I'm going to get these guys disconnected, confirm the good engine start. We'll come back on for after start and taxi checklists. Alright, we've confirmed good engine start. We got them disconnecting now. Let's take a look at this after start checklist. First of all, let's fire up the engine generators here. There we go. Probe heat needs to come on.
Unlocking gear.
While I'm looking at it, let's get the yaw damper on because I've forgotten that a couple times actually. Anti-ice as required. We don't need it right now. Engine bleeds can come on. Packs can go to auto. Isolation valve goes to auto as well. APU bleed goes off. APU switch goes off. And external lights as required. We're going to need the wing lights. Anti-collision lights are already on. We don't need logo lights right now. And let's make sure the master caution light is out. Hit the recall.
Disconnect. Bypass pin removed.
Recall's good. And then that brings us up to our taxi. It's going to be flaps 5, which is 3 clicks on the lever there. So we're bringing in flaps 5 right now. And then once they clear out, we're ready to taxi out. Now it's not a very far taxi. We're going just down to our left here. So we're going to let them get out of the way. Taxi on down there, and I will see you guys when we're ready to take care of our before takeoff checklist. I love how he stands right in front and waves like, bye, see you later, go ahead and go now. You really want me to just go right over the top of you? It's not very smart. Alright, let's not dilly-dally around here. Let's go ahead and get the TCAS coming on here. We're going to need traffic on here. I'm going to go with terrain on this side. I think that makes the most sense. We can go with weather on that side. And let's see, master caution light is out. Click on the recall. It's good. Flaps are set. Trim is set. Flight directors are on. Takeoff briefing is complete. That's going to put us out on the runway. Let's get the proper view tracker coming on. Little jump. There we go. And as we get ready to start coming out on the runway here, let's get those landing lights on. And let's get that strobe light on that one. I believe that's where it's supposed to be. Strobe and steady. A little cough in your face to get us started. Always a good way to go, right? And we're going to just roll right into this departure. Should be a good time. As always, never using up any more runway than we need to. It's just smart business in my opinion. Swing her on around here. Looking pretty good. Was swinging her maybe just a little too tight there. There we go. Engine stabilizing, thrust ref. Airspeed is alive. There's 80 knots. Don't mind the double callouts you'll hear. But I still can't figure out where they're coming from.
V1.
See, that was not V1.
Rotate.
That's not rotate.
V2.
Rotate.
There we go. That's where we're supposed to be.
V2.
Up, up, and away. Positive rate of climb. Gear coming up. Nice. Cool departure.
Gear up.
Mountains everywhere. There's thrust reduction altitude. Get a little more nose down trim in there. There she goes. Should be turning here shortly. There it is. Watch out, that nose likes to drop on you. There we go. Ooh, it wants to speed up quick, doesn't it? I don't like how fast it wants to speed up, to be honest with you. Go to flaps 1 here. I don't know why it wants to speed up that fast. See, there's the problem you run into. Now all of a sudden you got to try and climb really hard. I don't want to do that. We're going to have to anyway. Flaps coming up. Now I know that flight director's saying nose down, but I can see that speed coming up really fast. And I'm not ready for that yet. So, there we go. See that? See, as soon as the flaps were all the way up, all of a sudden the flight director wanted me to climb even more, right? So that's just kind of anticipating what's going to happen. Coming up on 250 here pretty quick as far as our speed. So it's not going to want us to start descending. It's going to want us to climb more until we maintain 250 or we're above 10,000. Is that making sense to everybody? Sure it is, at least most of you. Some of you probably don't know what I'm talking about. That's alright. We'll get to all that. Look at those mountains down there. That's just cool, isn't it? I always like departures where you're flying right over the mountains and stuff. It's a good time. A little more nose up trim there. Take a little pressure off of the yoke. That always helps. There we go. Yeah, I'm liking that. Good stuff. We'll be swinging back to the back to the right here. Boy, my throat is just not clearing well lately. Not sure what that's all about. It's got to be my allergies though. They're just getting worse. Just keep that crosshair centered, and we're gonna roll right into a nice hard right turn. Nice and tight. Right around the corner. We're above 10,000. Let's go ahead and get those landing lights off, taxi lights off. There we go. And let's go ahead and get that autopilot on. LNAV VNAV are already armed, so take control for us. Track hour coming off a little jump. There we go. I think at this point we're probably high enough we can turn the terrain mode off. I'm not going to do it yet though. Let's just zoom it out a little bit. And let's take a look at our after takeoff checklist. Positive rate of climb, obviously gear was up. Auto brakes need to go off. Flaps are all the way up. And let's see, engine start. I forgot it again. How did I miss that again? I missed the engine start selectors to continuous. That's the second flight I've done that in a row. I gotta remember those go to continuous and then they go off during your after takeoff checklist. But other than that, putting the gear handle in the off position, that takes care of our after takeoff checklist. And that means, you guessed it, ladies and gentlemen, it is time once again for some of that obligatory, wonderful elevator music. Alrighty folks, we're just hitting our top of climb here. Excuse me, and as you can see, we have 80 nautical miles to our top of descent. So we want to go ahead and jump right into taking care of our descent preparations. So let's jump down here first. Let's take a look at departure and arrival. There is no arrival, but we will be flying the ILS runway 26 approach, which is a DME arc, which is really cool. Those are always fun. So I'm looking forward to that. Click over on our initial reference. There's 8,700 feet of runway, so it's going to be full flaps. Still plenty of runway, but come in a little bit slower because we are a little bit. This aircraft's a little heavier than the 737. So yeah, it's going to work out nice. We'll leave that up there for now, and then just taking a look over here at our approach chart, we're basically going to get down to 5881. So if we scroll this down here, we're going to get as close as we can. So it's 5881. So I think we're going to have to go 5800. 5881 is glide slope intercept, right? Okay, and you guys will see that here in just a sec. So that sets us up for the approach, or for the descent. And then there's a couple other things we need to do, but that just gets us set up so that we can take care of this briefing first, and then we'll worry about the other things. So let's bring this over here. Sim Toolkit Pro, integrated with our Navigraph charts here. Taking a look up top at our briefing strip first. Our ASOS is 135.02. That is similar to ATIS. Twin Falls approach on 126.7. Salt Lake Center on 18.05. When approach is inoperable. The tower or CTAF is on 18.2. Coughing in your face. You can hear that my throat's not clearing all the way. It's allergies that are absolutely ridiculous. Okay, ground on 21.7. Localizer frequency is 108.3 with a final approach course of 258 degrees. We need to make sure we put that into our course heading. And then glide slope intercept at 5,881 feet at strict or strike, whichever you want to call it. ILS decision altitude. I have never seen conditional before, so I'm not sure what that means. We'll see when we look down here. I didn't even notice it till just now, but it's either 4354 or 200 feet. We'll put in 200 feet because it takes forever to dial it up to 4354. Airport elevation is 4,154 feet. In case of a missed approach, climb to 4,700 feet. Then it's a climbing right turn to 7,000 feet. We need to set that in our MCP altitude. And then it's on the 020 heading and TWF VOR 349 degree radial outbound to Toxie intersection, which is 13 nautical miles out from the VOR, and then hold or as assigned by ATC. And you can see what that looks like here. Climb out here to 020 until you get here, which is 13 nautical miles out, and then basically it's a left turn onto that radial, the 349 degree radial, and then you would hold here, and it's a right hand hold, so it would actually be a teardrop entry. So you'd cross over that 13 nautical mile mark, and you make a left turn 45 degrees off of 349, so that puts you at what, 304, and you'd fly that for 1 minute and then circle back around. I believe I have that right. It's been a long time since I had to actually do a hold entry. Transition altitude, as always, 18,000 feet in this area, and then it's this DME arc, as you can see here, right? There's also an option for you got this racetrack here. Is this considered a? I don't think this is a procedure turn. I was never instrument rated, so it's one of those things that I probably need to do a little more research on. But you can see they've got that right here as well. So it's a 1 minute racetrack above this above the strike NDB there. Right, or I guess, well, it's the TWNDB. It's also the strike waypoint is what it is. Anyway, you could do that racetrack, and then on this inbound leg here, you could descend down and intercept the VOR, basically. We're not doing that, though. We are coming in out here at Roget. Now, I may have that a little bit wrong, so if somebody knows better than I do, please don't hesitate to put it down in the comments. It's always appreciated. Your DME arc is based off of the TWF VOR, so this waypoint is on the 138 degree radial at what is this, 13 nautical miles from TWF, and they're all going to be 13 nautical miles out, just at different radials, right? So you could fly that without having it programmed in an FMC. That's the idea of a DME arc. But we're going to use it in the FMC coming from Rajat. There's a couple other waypoints that it put in here for us, probably just to help hold the arc better. Then it's the Woden UJSON, whatever, and then over here to Sori, and then to our final approach course of 258 degrees, and then to strike. And then if you look on our profile view, again, this is that racetrack above strike. We're going to come in and intercept glide slope at 5,881 feet. PAPI lights on the left hand side. I looked it up again. Mauser stands for medium intensity approach lighting system with runway alignment indicator. That's what Mauser is. So that's the lighting configuration here. And then for the ILS, again, it's 200 foot decision altitude or decision height. And for full ILS, half-mile visibility, and then runway alignment indicator lights, or ALS, out, then you need 3/4 miles of visibility. Pretty straightforward. Other than that, I think DME arcs are pretty cool. They're fun to fly. I've flown them by hand. I will not be flying this one probably by hand today. I do want to make note, this is an old chart. This is from 26 January of 2018, so that's 2.5 years old. So either the chart hasn't been updated or Navigraph just doesn't have the new chart for some reason, but it's actually quite surprising to see a chart that old in here. The newer charts have, you can see like on the Mustang 8 here, this chart is from, well, this one's still pretty old too. It's from 16 November 18. And all the charts are going to be older with Navigraph. That's how their program works. They're able to access those old charts at a cheaper rate from Jeppesen than you would pay for new charts. So I think that makes sense to everybody. But there's our arrival and our approach. And then if we look on here, let me just zoom that down a little bit for you. Maybe. Come on. And if we go to plan view, there you can see there's the DME arc there, and then turn to final. Put that back on the map view real quick. And we need to put on the course selector 258 degrees. So let's put that in here. Put it on this side as well. And you could just maybe put it on one side. You need both nav radios to allow the computer to fly the ILS, to allow the flight management computer to fly the ILS. But what you could also do is you could program in your backup. Well, you wouldn't even, yeah, your backup would be the TWF VOR, which is 115.8, right? So what you could do is you come down here to your nav radios and you say, okay, our localizer frequency is 108.3. So let's put that in first. 108, and this would be just the smart way to do it here. 108.3 and 108.3, and then the VOR, the TWF VOR, is 115.8. So if I take this and I put it at 115.8 as our standby frequency, there we go. And that way, if we have to do a missed approach, we can immediately switch that that nav radio over to the TWF VOR. We'd do our climb out to 4,700 feet. Once we reach 4,700 feet, we'd make that right turn. We'd switch our nav radio. Excuse me. We'd switch our nav radio to the VOR frequency, and then we would change our course on here to 349 to intercept that 349 degree radial. I think that makes sense to everybody. You would switch this over to VOR. That's ILS. Switch this over to VOR. Okay, and then it's saying that the frequency and the nav mode disagree, and that's all right. I'm just showing it for example. So you can switch this over to VOR. You make that turn to 020 once you reach 4,700 feet, and then as you cross that 349 degree radial, which you would have tuned in here, you would make the left turn to 349 and line up the VOR. And I've shown VOR navigation. If you haven't seen my VOR navigation tutorial, there's our map mode there. Take a look at it. It's pretty darn good. One of the better tutorials I've done, I think, over the years. And we're about top of descent here. Check it out, and you'll understand how intercepting a radio works. It's no different in a 737 than it is in a Cessna 172 or Beechcraft Baron or any other aircraft that uses the proper equipment, intercepting a VOR is exactly the same. Okay, that's a lot of talky talk. We're on our descent now, so I'll see you guys when we're hitting that DME arc for approach. Alright, we're coming up on Rajat here. Let's go ahead and take a look at our approach checklist. The approach is selected and briefed. The nav radios are both tuned to the ILS frequency 108.30, 108.30. The course is selected at 258 degrees on both sides. And landing lights, they're not ready to come on quite yet, but we'll be there in just a minute. And auto brake is set to 2. Even though it's a relatively short runway, we're not coming in super fast. I think we'll be alright at 2, so that's what I'm going to go with. And if I have to go to manual braking a little sooner, I will. Auto spoilers can get armed at this point. And what else we got here? Engine start switches to continuous, even though I keep forgetting to turn them on for takeoff, which of course is no good. And then once we hit the approach, final approach fix, it's just flaps and gear and all that good stuff from here. Excuse me. So as you can see, we're about to go on to that DME arc. We're close enough to 10,000. Let's just go ahead and bring those landing lights on. There we go. Just a shade over 10,000 feet. We've got our altimeter set. Everything is looking good as it should be. So we'll just start rounding the corner here. The airfield is going to be over there, out on the flat ground, so we'll probably be able to turn the terrain radar off here shortly. We'll just leave it on until we clear these hills over here. The terrain looks pretty good around here. You know, I gotta say, I'm really excited to see what happens with Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020. By the time you see this video, you will have already seen Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020. And I think I'm going to put a little star. I keep track of my, I write stuff down on a notepad here. And I'm going to put MS 2020. And I think I'm going to fly this same flight in Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020 along with this approach if I can. I don't know how it'll be on default. Let's get that first setting of flaps out. I'm going to fly this on that flight simulator. I want to see the difference in how the terrain looks. I'm really curious about that. So we'll see how that plays out. I'm looking forward to that. But anyway, in the meantime, let's go ahead and take the terrain radar off now. I think we're good to go. We got the weather radar still on this the first officer side. It's a little hazy out there, so that's nice. I mean, in real life it's not nice, but it's nice to see the simulator simulating that haze, right? You guys get where I'm coming from. You guys know what I'm talking about. I know you do. Alright, so we're looking pretty good here. Let's bring those spoilers back down here and rearm them. I think we're doing alright as far as our speeds are concerned. Let's go ahead and bring out the next setting of flaps. And we're looking at, it's going to be 141 plus 5, so 146 is going to be our approach reference. There's 185 there. I'm going to bring out one more setting of flaps here. And that should work out nicely for us. 171. That should be good speed for making this final turn here to intercept the localizer, because as you can see, it's a pretty tight turn. And so we don't want to be going any faster than necessary when we make that turn, right? It's definitely flatlands out here, a lot of farmland. Again, curious to see how it'll look in the new flight simulator. It's supposed to be a little more accurate and realistic. I think my understanding is it's a little less auto-gen and a little more using actual Google Earth type data, OpenStreetMap, things like that. So we should see what's more realistic depiction of what's actually here. It may actually be farm fields, but a lot of this stuff, when you see it in P3D and FSX and so on, it's just auto-gen. It's not, it's just taking a guess based on the terrain, really. That's what it comes down to. Alright, let's go ahead and select the localizer here. And it intercepted the localizer immediately, which is actually pretty surprising. I thought it would need to make the turn first, but we can select the approach switch. I'm going to go ahead and turn traffic off at this point. There shouldn't be much here, but as soon as I start seeing those stutters, that makes me think there's going to be an issue anyway. So we're still on VNAV path, just waiting to intercept the glide slope. As soon as we do, we will go gear down and start bringing in the rest of the flaps, and that should bring us to our final approach speed relatively quickly. Let's get to a proper view here. Track IR coming on, a little jump. There we go. That was a nice small jump. And my seat position has changed slightly, so I'll just recenter that real quick. More coughing in your face. That's always a good time, right? Okay, I can just make out the runway, but through the haze you guys probably can't see it yet. That's alright. I'm just waiting for that glide slope intercept at this point, and then we'll finish things off here.
2,500.
Alright, call outs are starting to kick in. Let me take a drink of something here real quick. There we go. Now you guys can probably see the runway in sight. And I think we're going to go ahead and bring that next setting of flaps in. That'll slow us down a little bit more here. Maybe. Maybe not. Let's go speed intervene. There we go. And just waiting on that glide slope intercept, which will be momentarily here. There it is, glide slope intercept, gear down. Next setting of flaps coming in. Bringing the speed down a little bit more.
Gear down.
Next setting of flaps. That puts us at 25. Flaps 25, that is. Flaps 30. And we can put this at 146 and go flaps 40. Just let her settle a little bit here. Speed's coming down nicely. And we need to set 7,000 on here. There we go. Go around altitude is set. It says single channel because we haven't activated the other autopilot, and we're not going to. In fact, we're about to disconnect the autopilot, as a matter of fact. As a matter of fact, disconnect the auto throttle as well. There we go. And it's my airplane. Pretty straightforward. A little bit of nose up trim there. She wants to dive on us. We got to be careful of that.
1,000.
And we're drifting a little bit as well. There's really no wind, so I don't know why she's drifting to the right like that. Oh, the auto throttle kicked back on. Did you see that? That was weird. Why does it keep going to the left?
500.
See that? Or to the right, I mean. Let's get back over there where we're supposed to be.
400.
There's really no wind, but it looks like we're crabbing in here a little bit, huh?
300. 300. Minimums.
Continue.
200. 100. 100.
A little high.
50. 40. 50. 30. 40. 20. 30. 10. 20.
That was pretty smooth, actually. Yeah, we're not showing any wind, but man, it was crabbing off the left there, wasn't it? Come on, waiting for those reversers to kick out there. There we go. Yeah, I went to manual braking relatively quick. Not too bad though. Take her off the runway here. That wasn't a bad landing at all, actually. Crosswind landing, even though it wasn't showing any wind. Not too shabby, right? Get her off the runway here. Let's get those landing lights off. Taxi lights can stay on. APU gets started. Well, she wants to taxi now, doesn't she? Both these can come off. Just bring her to a nice easy stop here real quick. I can go to steady. Let's go ahead and bring these guys off. It was weird that the auto throttle kicked back on. I haven't seen that before. Have you guys seen that where the auto throttle kicks back in? That was really strange. Oh well, track hour coming off real quick. Little jump. There it is. Okay, after landing checklist. Speed brake lever. And you get this guy up. Flaps need to come all the way up as well. All the way up. There you go. And what else we got here? Probe heat can go off. Engine start switches go off. Probe heat is way up here. There we go. Probe heat going off there. Landing lights are off. Taxi lights as required. Strobe lights are off. Flight directors off. Transponder can go to standby. I think that's actually test, isn't it? No, that's standby. And then APU start if needed, which we've already started it. I'm going to go ahead and start taxiing in here, and then I will be back with you guys here shortly. Alrighty folks, we're just about to pull into our gate here. Let's go ahead and get these taxi lights off just to be nice. There we go. And we'll start bringing her around the corner here. That was our follow me just to make sure we got to the right gate. There we go. And of course we don't have a marshal, because that makes sense. That's like GSX for you right there, isn't it? I'll just get her as close as I can here. Hopefully we're on point. Should be right about there, I think. Let's turn track hour off. Little jump. There we go. And let's get the parking brake on. Oh, come on. There we go. Let's just see how close we got here. Can't see anything. Still can't see anything. There we go. We should be able to see. It's not too bad. I went just a little far. But I've done worse, right? Let's jump up top here. Take advantage of that APU. And we can go ahead and shut the engines off now. 1 and 2. There we go. You know what I just realized? I don't think we did the fire test. Like, it just occurred to me. I think somehow I managed to overlook the fire test. Which one is that on? Fire warning system. Yeah, I moved right past it to emergency exit lights. I wonder, did any of you notice that in the start of the video, that I bypassed the fire warning system test? I didn't notice until just now. So let's see, let's go in here and let's go to ground connections, set the chocks, let's get the ground power on there, let's get the doors open. Next page, and let's request deboarding. And let's just see, are they running the stairs up there? Yeah, because there's no jetway. So alright, good to go. Fantastic. Let's take a look at our shutdown and secure checklist. Brakes are on. Start levers are cut off. Excuse me. Ground power needs to come on. And with the ground power on, then I'm just going to leave the AP running for now anyway. Doors and stairs are open. Fuel pumps all go off. Here we go. Cabin utility, IFE passenger switches both go off as well. Signs need to go off. Wrong way. Got to right click it. There we go. And let's see. Window heat can go off. 3 and 4. Probe heat is already off. Electric hydraulics can go off. All bleeds go off. 1 and 2. Isolation valve should be closed. Right click it to close it. Recirc fans to auto. They are. External lighting, anti-collision lights, wing lights can come off. Could have turned those off already anyway. Emergency exit lights can go off at this point as well. Right click that, and then it would be battery and ground power. We're going to leave those running for now. So that's going to wrap it up for this one, ladies and gentlemen. We do need to take care of ACARS really quick. Let's do that. So we can see here that our landing rate was minus 102.27, so it's a pretty good landing, especially with that crosswind that existed but didn't exist. We'll stop the flight. Okay, so total flight time was scheduled for 55 minutes. It was 108.13. I'm going to talk to the guys over at the airline because all these flight times just seem really short. They don't account for taxi, in, out, nothing. So we're always over on our flight time, which can be a little frustrating. It's not a big deal. You don't get gigged for it at the airline or anything like that, but you know, it's nice to be on time. I usually don't set the departure times according to these. Maybe I should, but anyway, file the PIREP. You don't get gigged for that either. You don't lose points or anything weird like that. So there we go. That takes care of the pilot report, and I do hope that you guys enjoyed this flight. I am still enjoying this series very much. I'm looking forward to continuing with the 737s through Season 4, and then when we get ready to go to Season 5, we'll put it up for a vote and decide what do we want to do next. What aircraft do we want to do next or for Season 5 in the life of a virtual airline pilot. If you haven't already done so, take the opportunity to smash the subscribe button. Up over 8,500 subscribers now. I'd love to get to 10,000 by the end of the year and do some sort of giveaway. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up. That lets me know I'm doing a good job. And if you didn't like it, by all means, you can give it a thumbs down, but please provide some sort of kind and yet constructive criticism down in the comments so that I can do a better job in the future. That's it, that's all, and no more, ladies and gentlemen. Until next time, as always, keep the blue side up, unless otherwise instructed by ATC. God bless you all. Have an absolutely wonderful day.